She had it all: fame, fortune, and Hollywood's biggest stars at her feet. But at 80, Jacqueline Bisset is finally revealing her deepest pain: the children she never had. "Seeing happy kids sometimes makes me pause," she admits. But that's not even the whole story. From caring for her sick mother to losing the men she loved, the truth about why this Hollywood legend chose a different path will break your heart. Jacqueline Bisset was born on September 13, 1944, in Weybridge, Surrey. Her full name was Winifred Jacqueline Fraser Bisset. She grew up in a home filled with culture and resilience. Her father, George, was a Scottish doctor. Her mother, Arlette, had once been a lawyer in France, but war changed everything. During World War II, she fled Nazi-occupied France on a bicycle, pedaling her way to safety before reaching a British troop ship. That single act of bravery shaped the kind of strength Jacqueline would carry with her for life. Her childhood was quiet, but far from dull. She and her older brother, Max, lived in a 17th-century cottage in Tilehurst, near Reading. The house was old, filled with books, but there was no television until she was nearly 17. Instead of watching shows, she spent hours reading or taking ballet lessons, dreaming of a life in the arts. She loved dance, but her body wasn't built for it. She had to let go of that dream early, though she never lost her love for movement and expression. She attended the Lycée Français de Londres, where she was surrounded by the French language and culture her mother had passed down to her. She developed a fascination with film, especially French and Italian cinema. While other students stuck to their lessons, she sometimes skipped school to watch movies by directors like François Truffaut and Claude Chabrol. She didn't know it then, but one day she would work with some of these filmmakers. At 15, everything changed. Her mother was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. The illness came in waves, bringing paralysis and even moments of blindness. Jacqueline stepped into the role of caregiver, learning responsibility far earlier than most. The weight of it was heavy, but she carried it without complaint. She found strength in patience, and even in humor, believing that laughter could lighten the darkest moments. Jacqueline Bisset needed a steady income to support her mother, so she turned to modeling. It paid the bills, but more than that, it gave her the chance to chase her real dream: acting. In London during the early 1960s, she used her modeling earnings to pay for drama lessons. It wasn't easy balancing both, but she was determined. She knew modeling wasn't where she belonged. It was just a stepping stone. Unlike many actresses who had family connections in the industry, Bisset had to carve out her own path. She took whatever opportunities she could, studying the craft while working to stay afloat. Her determination was there from the start. But success didn't come overnight. She had to work her way up, beginning with the smallest roles. Sometimes she had no lines. Sometimes her name wasn't even in the credits. But every job was a step forward. Her first time on a film set came with The Knack and How to Get It, 1965, a British comedy directed by Richard Lester. The film won the Palme d'Or at Cannes and captured the energy of the swinging 60s. Bisset had a tiny role as a prospective model, something that mirrored her real life at the time. She didn't have any dialogue, but it gave her a glimpse into the world of filmmaking. She watched, she learned, and she got a feel for what life on set was really like. A year later, she got her first speaking role in Cul-de-sac, 1966, a psychological thriller directed by Roman Polanski. The film starred Donald Pleasance and Françoise Dorléac and told the story of a bizarre hostage situation on an isolated island. Bisset played Jacqueline, a character caught up in the chaos. The role was small, but it was an important step forward. Polanski was known for being meticulous, and working under his direction gave her a crash course in serious filmmaking. She was still at the start of her journey, but she was making progress. Her breakthrough came in Casino Royale, 1967, a wild, comedic take on the James Bond franchise. The film featured an all-star cast including Peter Sellers, David Niven, and Ursula Andress. It wasn't a typical spy movie, it was over the top, filled with outrageous characters and ridiculous action. Bisset played Miss Goodthighs, a femme fatale who was both glamorous and funny. The role wasn't huge, but it got her noticed. The film became a hit, but more importantly, it put Bisset in the spotlight. Her performance showed she had screen presence and could handle comedy as well as drama. It was the turning point that took her from an aspiring actress to a rising star. Jacqueline Bisset's rise in Hollywood wasn't just about talent. It was about timing, opportunity, and a few unexpected twists. In 1968, one of those twists put her in the spotlight. She wasn't supposed to be in The Detective. That role belonged to Mia Farrow, who had been cast as Norma McIver, a young widow caught in a web of secrets. But Farrow was married to Frank Sinatra at the time, and that changed everything. She had also signed on for Rosemary's Baby, a film that demanded more time than expected. Delays started piling up, and Sinatra wasn't happy. He wanted her to focus on The Detective. She refused. He didn't argue. Instead, he sent divorce papers straight to the set and had her replaced. Jacqueline Bisset stepped in, and just like that, everything changed. This wasn't just another role. It was a moment that proved she belonged in Hollywood. The Detective tackled controversial topics like police corruption and homosexuality, subjects most films avoided. Sinatra led the story, but Bisset's performance gave it emotional weight. She wasn't just a background character, she was part of what made the film work. It pulled in $6.5 million at the box office, a solid success for the time. But more importantly, it introduced Bisset as an actress who could hold her own alongside legends. That same year, she took on a very different role in The Sweet Ride. This film dived into the world of surfers, bikers, and the Hollywood underbelly. Bisset played Vicky Cartwright, a young woman with a troubled past. The film opened with a disturbing scene. Vicky found beaten and left for dead on the side of the road. The rest of the story revealed the darkness she had escaped from. It wasn't an easy role. Vicky had been through a lot: abuse, exploitation, and people who only saw her as something to use. But Bisset played her with depth, making her more than just a victim. Some critics thought the film was messy. Others believed it captured something real about lost youth and Hollywood's hidden dangers. No one questioned Bisset's performance. She earned a Golden Globe nomination for Most Promising Newcomer, a sign that she wasn't just a rising star. She was here to stay. Then came Bullitt. If The Detective had put her on the map, and The Sweet Ride had proven her talent, Bullitt made her unforgettable. It was the film that changed action cinema forever. The car chase through the streets of San Francisco became legendary, setting a new standard for stunt work and editing. Bisset played Kathy, the girlfriend of Steve McQueen's tough and silent detective, Frank Bullitt. She wasn't just there to smile and look pretty. She was the emotional side of the story, the one who reminded Bullitt that his job had real consequences. She didn't have the biggest role, but she made it matter. Bullitt was a massive hit. It made over $42 million worldwide on a budget of just $5.5 million. It won an Oscar for Best Film Editing and became one of the most influential action films of all time. For Bisset, it was another step up. She had now worked with some of the biggest names in Hollywood, and she had proven she could keep up. By the end of 1968, she was only 23 years old, but she was already making $50,000 a year. Adjusted for today, that's nearly $500,000. That kind of money wasn't common for young actresses, especially in an industry where men controlled most of the opportunities. The late 1960s were a time of change. Protests over Vietnam, the civil rights movement, and economic struggles were shifting the way people saw the world. Hollywood was changing too. Many actresses had to fight for recognition, but Bisset's early success gave her something rare: power. She wasn't just another young actress waiting for a break. She was a bankable star. She could choose her roles, negotiate her pay, and build a career on her terms. One of the most pivotal moments came with Airport, 1970, a film that not only turned into a massive hit, but also set the foundation for the disaster movie genre. Directed by George Seaton and based on Arthur Haley's best-selling novel, the film was a massive success, earning over $128 million worldwide on a $10 million budget. At the time, it became Universal Pictures' highest-grossing film. More than just a box office hit, Airport set the template for disaster films by combining high-stakes action with emotional drama. Bisset played Gwen Megan, a stewardess caught in a secret affair with a married pilot played by Dean Martin. As the story unfolds, she discovers she is pregnant, adding a deeply personal layer to the tension already building in the film. Meanwhile, a desperate man sneaks a bomb onto the plane, threatening to blow it up mid-flight. All of this happens while the airport itself is struggling to function during a snowstorm. The film's ensemble cast included major Hollywood stars like Burt Lancaster, George Kennedy, and Helen Hayes, who won an Oscar for her role. Even though Bisset's part was not the biggest, critics praised her for bringing warmth and realism to her scenes. The film went on to receive 10 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture. It also inspired 3 sequels and countless imitators. Years later, Airplane, 1980, famously spoofed many of its most dramatic moments, proving just how much of a cultural impact Airport had. For Bisset, the film gave her major exposure and helped establish her as a rising star in Hollywood. Her next career-defining role came in Day for Night, 1973, a film that many consider one of the best ever made about the movie industry. Directed by François Truffaut, this French classic told the story of a chaotic film production, showing the challenges and personal struggles of the cast and crew. The film won the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film and multiple BAFTA awards, including Best Film and Best Direction. Bisset played Julie Baker, a British actress who had recently suffered a nervous breakdown. As she tries to focus on her role in the film within the film, her personal life begins to blur with her on-screen character. The movie blends comedy and drama, showing the unpredictable world behind the camera. One of the most powerful moments comes when Julie is deeply affected by an off-screen event that mirrors what is happening in the script. Truffaut used moments like this to show how closely art and life are connected. Critics praised Day for Night for capturing the magic and madness of filmmaking. Roger Ebert called it the best movie ever made about the movies. The film's mix of humor and heartbreak made it unforgettable, and Bisset's performance helped solidify her reputation as a serious actress. While Hollywood often saw her as a glamorous star, in Europe, she earned a new level of respect for her acting skills. Then came The Deep, 1977, a film that became famous not just for its story, but for one unforgettable image. Directed by Peter Yates and based on Peter Benchley's novel, the film followed a couple who discover sunken treasure while diving off the coast of Bermuda. What starts as an exciting adventure quickly turns dangerous when they realize drug smugglers are after the same treasure. Starring alongside Nick Nolte and Robert Shaw, Bisset played Gail Burke, an experienced diver caught in a life-or-death struggle. But what really made headlines was a specific underwater scene. Bisset, wearing a white t-shirt while diving, became the center of the film's marketing campaign. The image spread everywhere, turning her into an international sex symbol almost overnight. Years later, producer Peter Guber openly admitted, "That t-shirt made me a rich man." Bisset later said she had not realized how provocative the scene would look on screen and was uncomfortable with how it was used to promote the film. However, there was no denying that The Deep was a huge success, earning over $100 million worldwide. While some focused on the publicity surrounding her appearance, others recognized that the film was a well-made underwater thriller that combined stunning cinematography with real tension. That same year, in 1977, Newsweek declared Jacqueline Bisset the most beautiful film actress of all time. With her striking green eyes, high cheekbones, and effortless elegance, she had captivated audiences worldwide. By this time, she had already built a career filled with major films, from Casino Royale, 1967, to Bullitt, 1968, to Murder on the Orient Express, 1974. Though her beauty often became the focus, she proved time and again that she was more than just a pretty face. In 1978, she starred in Who is Killing the Great Chefs of Europe?, a black comedy mystery that gave her a chance to mix humor with suspense. She played Natasha O'Brien, a celebrated pastry chef caught in a bizarre string of murders. Europe's top chefs were being killed in ways that mimicked their signature dishes. With each new death, Natasha realized the pattern: appetizer, main course, and finally, dessert. Since pastry was her specialty, she feared she would be next. The film had a sharp and entertaining script that kept audiences guessing. Bisset played Natasha with a mix of intelligence, wit, and charm. She had great chemistry with George Siegel, who played her ex-husband, a food magazine publisher trying to help her solve the case. The film was a hit with critics and earned 2 Golden Globe nominations. Bisset was nominated for Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, and Robert Morley received a nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Just a few years later, in 1981, Bisset took on a completely different role in Rich and Famous. This drama, directed by legendary filmmaker George Cukor, was about the complicated friendship between 2 women over 20 years. Bisset played Liz Hamilton, a serious writer struggling with her career and personal life. Her best friend, Mary Noel Blake, played by Candice Bergen, had taken a very different path. She was a best-selling author who loved the spotlight. Their friendship was full of ambition, jealousy, and betrayal. Bisset's performance was raw and emotional. Critics praised her ability to bring both strength and vulnerability to the role. Roger Ebert called Rich and Famous a good-bad movie, saying that while it had flaws, Bisset's performance was one of its strongest elements. In 1984, she delivered another powerful performance in Under the Volcano, directed by John Huston. The film was based on Malcolm Lowry's novel and starred Albert Finney as Geoffrey Furman, a former British consul struggling with alcoholism in Mexico. Bisset played Yvonne Furman, his estranged wife who returns to try to save him. This role required her to show deep emotion while remaining understated. Yvonne was a woman filled with love, regret, and quiet desperation, hoping to bring Geoffrey back from the edge. Bisset played her with a mix of warmth and sadness, making the character feel real and relatable. The film was a critical success, with Finney receiving widespread praise for his performance. But Bisset's work did not go unnoticed. She earned a Golden Globe nomination for Best Supporting Actress. That same year, she took on another dramatic role in Forbidden, a World War II film that earned her a Cable Ace Award nomination. She played Maria von Gaal, a German aristocrat who risked her life to help Jews escape the Nazi regime. This was a role that required both courage and emotional depth. Maria was not a fearless hero, but a woman struggling with fear and guilt while trying to do the right thing. Meanwhile, Jacqueline Bisset never married in real life, a choice she made early on. She believed marriage could take away from romance, and she valued independence more than tradition. That didn't mean she avoided serious relationships. She had several, most lasting exactly 7 years. She once laughed about this pattern in an interview, calling it always 7. One of her most important relationships was with Canadian actor Michael Sarrazin. They met while filming The Sweet Ride in 1968. The movie earned Bisset a Golden Globe nomination for Most Promising Newcomer, but it also introduced her to Sarrazin, who became a huge part of her life. Their connection was instant, and they moved in together. Their relationship lasted from 1967 to 1974, the full 7 years. Sarrazin already had 2 daughters from a previous relationship, but that didn't change their bond. They shared a life in Hollywood, supporting each other through career highs and lows. When they eventually broke up, it wasn't because of a dramatic fight or scandal. It was simply time. Even after they went their separate ways, Sarrazin remained an important figure in her life. When he passed away from mesothelioma in 2011, at age 70, Bisset spoke about him with deep affection, remembering the years they had spent together. In the 1980s, she had another high-profile romance, this time with Russian ballet dancer and actor Alexander Godunov. He had defected from the Soviet Union in 1979 and was trying to build a new life in Hollywood. They met in New York and quickly became inseparable. By 1981, Godunov had moved into Bisset's Los Angeles home, and their relationship became a media sensation. The press called them the torrid twosome. Their love was passionate but complicated. Godunov struggled with addiction, and over time, it created distance between them. He proposed, but Bisset turned him down. Marriage was never what she wanted, even with someone she loved deeply. Their breakup in 1988 was sad but not bitter. Years later, when Godunov died suddenly in 1995 at age 45, Bisset was heartbroken. She later met with his ex-wife, Lyudmila Vlasova, trying to find closure. Even after all those years, the loss of Godunov affected her deeply. Then there were the rumors about Frank Sinatra. In 1968, Bisset starred opposite him in The Detective. She had actually replaced Mia Farrow in the movie, just as Farrow's marriage to Sinatra was falling apart. That alone sparked gossip, but their on-screen chemistry only fueled it further. Sinatra was known for his charm, and he openly admired Bisset's talent. They spent time together on set, and speculation grew that there was more to their relationship. Neither ever confirmed it, but the rumors never really faded. Jacqueline Bisset's career has been full of moments that prove her talent and versatility. In 1995, she starred in La Cérémonie, a psychological thriller directed by Claude Chabrol. The film was based on Ruth Rendell's novel A Judgment in Stone and explored themes of class conflict and moral corruption. Bisset played Catherine Lelièvre, a wealthy woman who unknowingly invites danger into her home when she hires a new maid. Sandrine Bonnaire and Isabelle Huppert played the 2 women who slowly turn a simple household job into something much darker. Critics praised the film as one of Chabrol's best. Roger Ebert later added it to his great movies list, and it won awards from the Los Angeles Film Critics Association and the National Society of Film Critics for Best Foreign Language Film. Bisset's performance stood out, earning her a César Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. The nomination placed her alongside some of the biggest names in French cinema, proving that she could hold her own in any film industry. Her role added depth to the story, making Catherine more than just a symbol of privilege, but a woman caught in a world she doesn't fully understand. Just a few years later, in 1999, Bisset took on a very different role in the Emmy-nominated miniseries Joan of Arc. She played Isabelle d'Arc, the mother of the legendary French warrior. The miniseries starred Lili Sobieski and told the story of Joan's rise and tragic end during the 100 Years' War. While much of the focus was on Joan's journey, Bisset's character brought an emotional weight to the story. As a mother, she had to watch her daughter follow a path that she knew would lead to danger. Her performance captured the pain, love, and fear of a parent who could do nothing but hope for the best. The production was a major success. It earned 13 Emmy nominations and 4 Golden Globe nods. The cast included Peter O'Toole and Olympia Dukakis, but Bisset's performance stood out. Critics praised her ability to balance historical authenticity with raw emotion, proving once again that she could bring depth to any character. By 2006, she had already played everything from period drama heroines to complex modern women, but she surprised audiences with a much darker role in the hit TV series Nip Tuck. She appeared in the 4th season as James LeBeau, a woman involved in illegal organ trafficking. Her character was elegant and cold, making her one of the most chilling figures in the series. The role was completely different from the ones she had played before, yet she made it feel effortless. Fans and critics alike were captivated by her performance, proving that she could take on any challenge. Her contributions to film and television did not go unnoticed. In 2010, she received France's Légion d'honneur, one of the country's highest civilian honors. President Nicolas Sarkozy personally presented her with the award, calling her a movie icon. It was a moment of recognition not just for her work in Hollywood, but also for her deep connection to French cinema. Her mother was French, and over the years she had taken on many roles in French films, including La Cérémonie. The honor confirmed that she was more than just a British actress. She was an international star who had left a lasting impact on cinema. Then, in 2013, she received one of the biggest honors of her career. She won a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress for her role in the BBC drama Dancing on the Edge. The series was set in the 1930s London and followed a black jazz band trying to navigate racism and high society politics. Bisset played Lady Lavinia Cremoni, a wealthy woman with deep connections to the band. The role required a mix of warmth, power, and mystery, and she delivered a performance that was unforgettable. When she won the award, her emotional speech made headlines, showing just how much the moment meant to her. Even in her 70s, she continued to take on complex roles. In 2014, she starred in Welcome to New York, a film directed by Abel Ferrara. The story was inspired by the Dominique Strauss-Kahn scandal, and she played Simone Devereaux, the wife of Gérard Depardieu's character. The role required her to portray a woman dealing with both public disgrace and personal betrayal. She delivered a performance filled with quiet strength and deep emotion, earning praise for her ability to make the character feel real. The following year, she took on a completely different project with Miss You Already, 2015, a British drama starring Toni Collette and Drew Barrymore. The film focused on the friendship between two women, one of whom is battling cancer. Bisset played Miranda, the mother of Barrymore's character. Her role added another layer to the film, showing the complexities of family relationships during difficult times. Jacqueline Bisset has always been open about her decision not to have children. She doesn't dwell on regret, but there are moments when she wonders what life would have been like if she had chosen differently. She once admitted that while she doesn't feel a deep sense of loss, seeing happy children sometimes makes her pause. Her life simply took a different path, one shaped by responsibility, ambition, and timing. In the 1960s and 70s, Bisset's career was taking off. She was working non-stop, building a name for herself in Hollywood. At the same time, she had a major responsibility at home. Her mother, Arlette Alexander, was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when Bisset was still young. Later, she also developed dementia. For decades, Bisset took care of her, balancing work and personal duty in a way that left little room for anything else. She once said that if she had chosen to have children, she wouldn't have been able to give them the attention they needed. The idea of putting her mother in a nursing home was something she could never accept. Motherhood was never something she felt a strong pull toward. She was focused on her work and the people who depended on her. But that doesn't mean she was completely removed from the experience of raising a child. She became the godmother of Angelina Jolie and played a maternal role in past relationships. Over time, she came to believe that life assigns different roles to different people, and hers didn't include having children of her own.